Alright, here's a spooky story for you. It's about a library. I used to work in a library. Not this one's fine. It was an old, musty library with creaky floorboards and shelves that groaned under the weight of centuries. The kind of place where you could get lost 4 hours on end, not because it was particularly hard to navigate, but because the armchairs were so comfy, you just didn't want to leave. The library was in a grand old building, the kind with a tower and turrets and gargoyles. It was also the kind of building that had a basement. Naturally, I got spooked out every time I went down there because basements are creepy. All the pipes and wires and stuff. It's just begging for some jump scares. But I never found anything down there except 4 boxes of old yearbooks and the occasional spider. One day, though, I was sent down there to check something out. Mrs. Dalloway, who was our boss, had been acting weird lately. For the past few weeks, she'd been coming to work early and leaving late. She was always in a hurry and always seemed to be in a bad mood. So one night, after everyone had gone home, I went to her office to ask what was up. As I opened the door, I saw a stack of books on her desk, all of them old and leather-bound. On the top one, I noticed a peculiar symbol. It looked like a crescent moon with a star inside it. I'd seen that symbol before, but I couldn't place it. Suddenly, Mrs. Dalloway whirled around in her chair and her eyes flashed. "What are you doing here?" she snapped. I stammered and said I was just checking if there were any overdue books in her office, but she cut me off. "Get out," she hissed, "and don't come back until morning." I practically ran back to my desk, my heart pounding in my chest. What was in those books? And why was Mrs. Dalloway acting so strange? I tried to shake off the unsettling feeling, but it was no use. I couldn't focus on my work and kept stealing glances at the clock, willing it to be morning already. When I finally went back to Mrs. Dalloway's office, she was waiting for me. Her face was pale and her eyes were red-eyed. "I need your help," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Those books, they're not from this world. They were left here by mistake and they're dangerous." Before I could ask any questions, she handed me a key. "Take this to the basement," she said. "There's a locked chest there. Put the key in it and open it. Whatever you do, don't look inside. Just bring it back here." My hands were shaking as I made my way to the basement. With the key in my pocket, I felt a sudden urge to run, to get as far away from that library as possible. But something kept me there, something that compelled me to carry out my task. When I finally reached the chest, my fingers trembled as I inserted the key. As the lock clicked open, a musty smell wafted out, making my eyes water. I wanted to scream, to make the smell go away, but no sound came out. My throat was constricted. I forced myself to look inside and saw an old leather-bound book on its cover, that same strange symbol. I knew, somehow I just knew, that this was the last book Mrs. Dalloway wanted me to read, the final patron of the library. Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more tales from the Val_Tales.